That's right, you geeks. Welcome into the Echo Screen, the official podcast of the Clan of the Grey Wolf, and only, I should say, 5 minutes late tonight. Usually we really, every time we get together, don't we say this is the show that we're going to start on time?
Yeah, I'm impressed that was all. I was ready to hit the button like a couple minutes beforehand. I'm like, oh, you know what I didn't do? I didn't set up, the camera so you could see you or the chat or anything like that. So
no,
minor things. But
people don't want to see me. They just want to hear me, which is okay with me. So anyway, welcome to the Echo Screen Live. We're gonna do a little nostalgia play for some folks that might have been with us for a long, long time today by revisiting a topic we did previously, talking about gaming as an adult.
In the business, we call that a nostalgia wank.
Yeah, it is a nostalgia wank. I think that is the proper and scientific term. As always, I am your host, the Commodore, and Rue is with us, who is furiously working to make the stream stay up with bubble gum and shoestrings.
Yep, and we'll see if it holds tonight. We had some issues last week or 2 weeks ago, but it's because we were talking about a hot topic, and tonight's a little bit calmer.
Calmer.
Everyone
we're calm.
Calm your teats.
Just relax.
It's all right.
Everybody just calm down. There's nothing to get excited about. Yes, so we are going to talk about gaming as an adult, which, as many of you will recall, was a topic that we had. Was it the first thing we ever talked about on this show?
I think it was. When you are talking about this topic, I'm all Twitter pated here tonight. This is over 5 years ago when we first started the original Echo Screen podcast, and it wasn't live,
non-live,
and we recorded it and we sent it out, and we talked about gaming as an adult. And since then, over 5 years have passed. We've got more family. We've got more mortgages. We've grown up.
Right.
How the heck do we fit in gaming? Definitely more debt.
Yeah. Life has changed. So we thought it would be interesting to kind of revisit this topic. We promise this is not the beginning of the revisiting of topics.
It might be
that have been okay. I'll leave it. Let's just say we've left the door open, but it's certainly not going to be common practice. We just thought this would be a great time to revisit a topic that probably has changed for both of us at least a little bit since we last spoke about it, and our audience has changed a little bit too, so we'd like to hear what you guys have to say, which is what we do here on the Echo Screen Live. For those of you that have never joined us before, or for those of you that have and want to review, we have 3 portions to the program. The first being the Tids and Bits. We call it the T and B.
Well,
kind of like I call that.
Yeah.
But I think it's a good name. It's referential. Little titillating. People might call it the news and notes. We just talk about things that we think you guys should know about. Put our little spin on things, and I promise there will be no talk about the NFL nor Adrian Peterson tonight if you're trying to escape that kind of conversation.
Ooh.
We won't have it.
Yeah, I just won't say anything.
No, don't talk about it.
Nope.
We're not going to talk about that. Okay. Anyway, we'll have the T and B. Then we will get to the topic du jour, which is the topic of the day. You have now been educated as to what that is. And then we have the third portion of the program.
Where I don't mute my phone.
Where you don't mute your phone, even though I tell you to mute it every single show since the first show, since the first program. Anyway, and then we'll get to the third portion of the program, which is the question and answer portion of the program. Now, that is a part of the program where we will actually answer your question if it's good enough, and if I like it, we'll answer it live on the air. So,
and Sonic Rose has a lovely question, and I'm going to ignore the fact that Pine Life just answered it. How do people send us questions for tonight?
Yes, all you have to do is tweet me at It's the Commodore, and send your question there if I like it, and we'll assemble all of them during the program. We'll ask them and potentially answer them on the question and answer portion of the program. By the way, what do the questions have to be about? Do not have to be about the topic du jour. Don't have to be about the Tids and Bits. Don't even have to be about what other people's Q&A was about. It could be about anything you want. Literally. Anything you want.
Yeah, you can talk about how babies are made.
Do we sound desperate yet? Anything you want. Literally. Whatever you're looking to talk about, we will talk about it. it's a momentous occasion because we are, it's good for us to talk for a second about the fact that we are actually a legitimate podcast.
Yeah.
So maybe you would like to help people understand what that means, Rue. Can you talk about what it means that we're now a legitimated podcast, since people, might not understand?
It means that you don't have to necessarily be here on the Clan of the Grey Wolf YouTube account on Wednesdays, every first and third Wednesday at 9 p.m. Eastern time to join us or to watch us later on YouTube. You can also download us via iTunes, Stitcher, and also pretty much any Android podcatching app of your choice. Just search for Echo Screen Live, and you'll find us. Right. There's not that many, honest to God. And if you wouldn't mind, if you enjoy the show tonight, maybe leave a nice review, especially on the iTunes, because I guess that's really the only place that such things matter. So helps the visibility, and we love you guys for it.
And if you don't like the show,
you can just shut up.
Then
that's fine.
go tweet nasty things to NFL players. Okay?
Yes.
All right. So is that good enough? Well, with that in mind,
that's a good setup. Okay.
Yeah. With that in mind, let's get to some of the news and notes, otherwise known on this very program as the Tids and Bits. Folks, we have a very life-altering, life-changing set of experiences to share with you tonight. Mm-hmm. We even teased something that I thought we were going to make happen, which was a special guest appearance this evening.
First time ever.
We failed and ran short of the latter, but here is the news about the former. Right, well, right, I know. It's really more about me. Anyway, so one of the reasons why we decided to revisit this topic is because life has changed a lot. And life has changed a lot for me, specifically in the last week, because thank God there wasn't a show last week. Because last week at this time, I was celebrating the birth of my very first child. And you can see her beautifully cute footprints right here. Her name is Aria. She is a little princess. We don't have a new Clan of the Grey Wolf nickname for her. If any of you want to see what she looks like, there is an adorable picture right there.
Just nibbling on something.
Yeah, just getting the old. I think that would have been one of her first cracks at a pacifier there.
There you go.
Anyway, I mean, you got to learn these things. You don't remember that, but you have to learn these things. But yes, so there is a new little Commodore Et.
Yep.
So if any of you want to help us with a nickname for her, that would be pretty cool.
My vote is for Little Kami or Yeltsin.
Which doubly doesn't make sense.
Because Yeltsin wasn't a communist.
But if you have a better name than that and you have a suggestion for me, tweet that at me too. Why not? I mean, maybe we'll assemble some nicknames, some Clan of the Grey Wolf style kind of nicknames for the end of the program. But anyway, so those of you that have emailed me and have not received a response recently, those of you that have been waiting eagerly for the next installment of the Weekly Ringer, I actually legitimately have a good excuse now. It's because I haven't slept in days.
It's much better than my excuses.
Yes.
My cat's kept me up.
Yeah, exactly. The cat's and I mean, really, we were talking about this before. Like, obviously, Aria, my little girl, would have no idea what I'm doing right now because she can barely see shapes.
Yep.
But the cats on your end, like, they just think that you get in front of the screen every couple Wednesdays a month and just talk to the screen, right?
Yes. You know what, though? No one cares about your dang kid. Let's get to the news.
Yeah, no one cares about my dang kid. Anyway, thank you for the congratulations, folks.
I love
let's move on. No one cares about your dang kids.
All right.
All right, so let's move on to some other news. There was a lot of news this week, and I know you in the past couple weeks. Yes. I know you wanted to talk about one. I'll let you set that one up.
Which one am I talking about? Am I talking about the Apple version?
Yeah, let's do that one.
All right. So, Apple had their big reveal show, I believe, last week for the iPhone 6 and also the iWatch, which is not called the iWatch. It's just called the Apple Watch. And I love how... not Nathan Grayson. My brain is failing. Jason Schreier from Kotaku tweeted that...
you went from very bad to very good there.
I did. But I love how he tweeted us like these Apple press conferences make E3 look like the White House press corps, but because it's just ridiculousness. But anyway, there was all sorts of they showed off the iPhone 6 and the iPhone 6 Plus, which is basically like a Samsung Note.
Right.
Really almost literally the same size.
It's the Apple Galaxy Note.
Yeah, yes, the long-awaited version.
With the same technology that was in the Note 2 years ago.
Exactly.
And size.
So that's fine. What I want to talk about is the Apple Watch.
Yes.
Putting up a picture right here. Okay, so I'm not the biggest fan of Apple in the first place, but I'm kind of unimpressed with the design. I thought Apple was known for really sexy designs and this, that, and the other, and yeah, it kind of looks like a Samsung Gear watch, basically, to me. It's
kind of generic and square.
Yeah, it's like, really? I mean, oof. This is the kind of stuff that leads me to believe that Apple's not at the forefront anymore. They're not innovating as much. They're trying to play a little bit of catch up. You could say I'm full of crap on that. Yeah, maybe. But, I got to see a Moto 360 watch over the weekend recently. And, I mean, say what you will about the battery life, etc. All of these first-gen watches are going to be not great in the tech department as they figure things out. But it looks really good. For a smartwatch, it looks really good. It looks about the exact same size as my regular watch. It's something that I could wear out in public and not feel like a giant tool.
Right.
Like I was saying before, we both kind of love Silicon Valley, the new HBO show that kind of pokes fun at Silicon Valley, and
which is awesome.
There's this character that like the tall guy who basically is the only guy who knows business in the group, and I always find it funny because he's wearing a Samsung Gear, and it's just like it's like a small note, just like a nice little touch that just shows like these kind of douchey Silicon Valley types and.
Right. Just buying stuff for buying.
To have a gadget for the sake of having it and to maybe look good or kind of stick out. Not necessarily look good, just kind of stick out. Anyway, I was a little unimpressed there. That's my big takeaway from the whole Apple event. So.
Yeah, and it looks like they're under delivering from some of the earlier promises they made. Like a lot of the health implications of apps they were trying to develop. It seems like at this point, there were a lot more promises made about how there were going to be health links and health-related apps, and due to unreliability issues, they've been unable to kind of deliver on those and are kind of stepping back with it. So, I don't know. We had a whole show about wearables.
I'm sure it'll sell fine. I'm not worried about that.
Sure, it'll sell fine because there are plenty of people out there that will buy anything that has an Apple logo on it, and God bless them. But I think that at the end of the day, this one's not for me. I'm not sure yet about the synergy between this and other phones. For example, wouldn't it be nice if for example, if you buy an Android wearables watch, foreseeably it's going to be compatible with any Android phone you could conceivably want to pair it with.
Right.
You'd be it the same brand or not. I have a funny feeling the Apple Watch wants to do none of the sort and only wants to talk to iPhones. And only iPhones of a certain ilk would be my guess, as probably 5 and newer. Always limiting, very classic Apple, and I'm not all that impressed either. So we'll see how that comes out. You know what I want to do though? When I will buy a smartwatch. These are not really smartwatches. I can't say that. When I will buy a wearable, okay, is when I am out in the bright sunlight and I look at my wrist and I don't have to like squint or get this close to see what it's actually saying.
Yes.
If it can do that, I'll do it. But so far, I haven't seen a single real phone outside of like e-ink displays and stuff.
Yes, like the
that can really do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, wait, is the Pebble e-ink? Okay.
Pebble is e-ink, yes.
Yeah. You know what the funny thing is about the Pebble? Everyone I know who has one really, really loves it.
Yes.
So, it might be kind of relatively low tech and everything, but it works, I guess, for a lot of people.
That you know what? I think, yeah. Yeah, I could see that. I'm just not whole. I'm not. There's a new Pebble coming out.
Yep.
That I think could sell me on the Pebble. Now the original Pebble kind of looks a little outdated, right? But then again, maybe that's just for the Silicon Valley kind of folks
Yep.
among us.
But so in the end, neither of us are getting an Apple Watch.
Nor an iPhone 6 of any ilk. I'll tell you, though, I am seriously considering the larger form factor for the next phone, which could ostensibly replace both the phone and the tablet.
You should. Note 4. Just saying.
The Note 4 is certainly one option. There looks to be plenty of options now, which is cool.
Yes, that's true.
It's good.
The phablet has not gone away, which I love, which I'm very glad for because I enjoy the large phones. So.
I think the phablet is here to stay, and
it's great for me to overcompensate with.
And I think with all the different devices coming out, I think the tablet is kind of hitting its peak. I could see that reaching saturation to a point where now with these other devices, you find that a phone will always have its place. Watches have their place, right? PCs have their place. And tablets kind of sit as a little bit of an outlier right now. So I'm not sure. I'm not trying to predict the future here, but I could see, out of all those form factors, I could see the tablet being the one that goes away and the phablet being here to stay. We have another piece of news we need to talk about, which is pretty seismic.
Yeah,
I would say.
Yeah.
Those of you that are friends of the program might know that Rue and I are both big fans and patrons of the game Minecraft by Notch and his company Mojang. This week, actually, 2 days ago, Microsoft purchased Mojang for $2.5 billion,
which is a nice sum of money. That's like 1.5 or 2.5 WhatsApps.
Mm-hmm. And that's pretty good considering they have like 100 employees.
It's 2.5. It's 2.5 Twitches at least.
Yeah, two. It's at least 2.5 Twitches, and for really only one product that's of runaway success at this point, that's pretty damn good.
Right.
So what do you think? What do you think about Mojang being purchased by Microsoft?
This is definitely a good move for Notch. I think there's a good article by Chris Kohler yesterday in Wired about how we've kind of hit peak Minecraft.
Yeah.
There's only, it's made great inroads into not only console, PC of course, but consoles and mobile gaming.
Yep.
It is amazing the amount of kids you see walking around with tablets playing Minecraft, which is great. It's awesome. I love it. It's Legos for the digital age. But
right.
There's not a lot more saturation that can go with the game itself.
Yes.
And not a lot Notch has been kind of hands off with the company anyway, the past few months.
I was about to say, I think
years,
he just shows up to collect his checks. I'm not sure he does much more than that.
And I think he owns something like 70% of Mojang, so he's walking away with about 70% of $2.5 billion. Not bad, and now he can go off, and as he said, he's, as soon as this deal is done, basically the people in charge of the company now are heading out. They're going to go do their own thing. And I think that's all Notch really wants to do. He doesn't want to be the next Zuckerberg. He doesn't want to be, head of a large, company that's trying to pump out the next big thing. He just wants to kind of doodle around and have fun and make games that he thinks are interesting. He specifically said if he comes across something that he thinks is going to be the next big thing, he's going to drop it immediately. Which is kind of... Yeah, it's kind of like one of those things like, there's thousands of game developers that would love to be in his position where, the poor little rich girl, basically. But
Right. And I think at the end of the day...
You can see his point.
There are so many starving artists. I mean, this happens in every industry. There's really no medium that this is limited to, okay? It happens everywhere. You have folks that really are trying to make their name, and then you have people that get their wish, become huge, and then become resentful and hate their lives as a result of it. Mm-hmm. I don't think Notch is resentful or hates his life, but let's say that he certainly was not expecting Minecraft to be this big. He certainly wasn't expecting to make 70% of $2.5 billion. I think he was just a guy that had a cool idea, had several cool ideas. This was one of them. And just so happened to hit a marketplace at the right place and the right time.
What do you think about Is Microsoft making out well at all in this? I mean, Mojang as a company has tried to make a few other games since Minecraft hit it big. None of them have worked.
I think it's a great thing for Microsoft, because I think Microsoft can bring, if I'm thinking the way they're thinking, what I would, me looking at as a company like Mojang says, these are people with great vision and no capability to deliver, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, what they've delivered onto this point is kind of a singular concept, and then the infrastructure to be able to power that, which is in Amazon Web Services, and I'm sure that's going to change now because, as we all know, Microsoft doesn't get along all that well with Amazon, so I'm sure that will change. But in any case, I think if they see it that way, then what Microsoft is probably thinking is, we can take their great ideas and we can put execution to them. We can execute these kinds of concepts better than they could have executed them, with more people, mm-hmm. With better traction, and with better marketplaces to sell them.
But do you think this is another case of when they bought Rare, and Nintendo definitely got away from that relationship at the right time, mostly because the people who founded Rare went off to do other things. They
That's
made
right.
like Free Radical and
right.
Stuff like that. And this is a similar situation here with the people from Mojang leaving. I don't know. I see that. I see there's potential in ways that I have no clue.
I don't know how Minecraft is going to be affected either, and that's really the only way this affects me at the moment. And obviously, with the new edition, maybe not so much. But which is what we're going to talk about at the topic du jour. Mm-hmm. But Minecraft to me has already hit a point where it's almost less fun because there's so much stuff in it now. Maybe I'm the only person that feels this way, but I didn't need all this other stuff, right? I mean, I have kind of the world as it is out there. I don't really need it inside a shoebox or whatever you want, a sandbox, right? It's kind of, Minecraft was just a pretty simple concept, and I think a lot of us liked it that way. And now it's kind of not. So
yep.
I don't know if Microsoft's going to mess with that. I don't know if Microsoft's going to try to monetize that in a different way. I don't know. Anyway, if you have a particular opinion, you can ask us a question. All you have to do is tweet me at It's the Commodore during the show, and I'll answer some of your questions about Minecraft or anything else.
The parting thought I want to give to that whole Minecraft discussion is food for thought. I'm sure most of you already know this, but it's nice to be reminded. So Minecraft was bought, or Mojang was bought for $2.5 billion. Disney paid $4 billion for Lucasfilm and all the associated properties. So all of Star Wars.
Yes,
and all the LucasArts Lucasfilm Games collection,
and everything that it encompasses, all of the rights, all of the merchandising,
all the merchandising, $4 billion.
Yeah, the merchandising,
and they paid the same. They paid the same for Marvel. So kind of amazing to think that in today's day and age, a tiny independent company from Scandinavia can sell for a somewhat comparable amount of money as Star Wars. Anyway,
right?
Crazy.
As 100 employees, and with most of their major leadership moving on.
Yep.
I don't know. It's going to be very interesting to see how this happens. But good for Notch.
Yep.
All right, moving right along. We're only halfway through the program, and it's time to move on to the second third of the program, which is the topic du jour. So yes, you will have that, and I will feed it to you.
Oh.
So, in case you missed the top of the program, this was the very first topic we discussed on the Echo Screen. Notice I didn't say the Echo Screen live because the show wasn't live at that point.
5 years ago.
5 years ago, which is crazy because I guess it does kind of feel like 5 years ago. Does it feel like 5 years ago to you?
Feels like a long time ago.
Feels like a long time ago. Anyway, so we wanted to revisit this topic, especially in lieu of, we wanted to see how can you game as an adult? Is it possible to be an adult gamer? What kind of consolations have to be made? What kind of things do you have to do? And we wanted to revisit this 5 years on
See
and
how things have changed.
See if things have changed, right?
So, have they changed for you? How?
Yeah,
if you still play video games,
Yeah.
you have a house and a mortgage and a new baby. How are you finding time to play video games?
Yeah, I mean, right now it is kind of on the go or nothing. It's here.
So you're playing Angry Birds all the time, is what you're saying?
I have Angry Birds, and I but I'm slow on the Angry Birds thing. I'm still playing Angry Birds Star Wars, and it's incredibly fun and very deep. But I'm kind of a perfectionist, so I never move on until I get 3 stars. And that gets really boring after a while, so I just moved on. But anyway, that is yes. The answer is yes. I do that kind of stuff. I recently found a pretty cool RPG on Google Play called Honorbound, which is cool. The issue is, the games are all limited because they're on these, platforms, and you don't get the full experience. So even if it's great, you don't get the great experience. So when you do that, you can play like a little bit, and then you can play, then you have to put it away and then come back to it. And that's fine with me. I can walk away and come back. Am I going to sit down and plow through the next Final Fantasy? Absolutely not.
And so funny you say that, because I think I've discussed before that at least growing up, my favorite genre was RPGs, the JRPGs specifically.
Right.
The classic, melodramatic, the kind of game where, growing up, if something was thought to be less than 70 hours, you thought you were getting gypped. That kind of thing.
Yes.
And now I recently started Xenoblade Chronicles a few weeks ago. And that is at minimum 70 hours. And I look at that now, I'm like, oh God, no. I
70 hours, yeah, exactly.
I shouldn't even start this, but...
spend 2 work weeks on it.
Yeah, exactly. And when it comes down to that, you actually, for me, you just need to block out the time. You come home from work, or I come home from work, and I am exhausted. And I don't even have a baby in the house to worry about.
Yes.
Except the cat's meowing at me as soon as I walk in the door for food.
Right.
But...
they don't count.
No, so I get home and I make some dinner or whatever, and I have to say to myself, okay, I just need to block out 2 hours or whatever, because you can't just pick up and play and then put down an RPG, a classic JRPG for 5 minutes, really.
Yes.
Even if it's on mobile.
Yes.
And there are, Dragon Quest was just released on mobile recently. So that's something you actually have to work on. If you want to play that type of game, you need to block out the time, and you need to... It's kind of like how you read a good book. People read books, and you want to block out a good amount of time to get into it and kind of get immersed in that world. And it's very similar with JRPGs, RPGs in general. The same could be said for Skyrim or something like that.
Yeah, so everybody, I guess what you're saying is everybody has their hobbies, and everybody also has their lives. And as things have kind of changed, and we've had more responsibilities, and I love what Vulcan Assassin just said in the chat. An adult gamer's a person who used to game a ton and still loves games, but only gets to play them when they aren't busy being put down by the man or being responsible. I'll say otherwise. So yeah, I agree with that, and I think we all have hobbies. We all have to make time for those hobbies. If we just sit around all day and then go back to working for the man or being responsible, you never get anything done.
That's true.
So
and yeah, so you have two sides right there. You were talking about the need to play mobile gaming because it's so freaking easy. You always have your phone on you.
Right.
So if you're on the train or whatever, or in the bathroom at work and you have 5 minutes, you can just blast out some Angry Birds and blast out some other stuff, and then get back to work.
That's right.
That does it less for me. I do have games on my phone, but I'm not terribly thrilled with any of them, really.
They're casual.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'd rather play something like Xenoblade Chronicles and actually get into that. So that's my suggestion for gaming at home, at least.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's probably true. Making time is certainly a big piece of it. I think there is also the element of, just the fact that there are so many things to balance that it's sometimes you have to kind of combine things together. the reason mobile gaming happens to be pretty attractive to me is because, even if if I'm working at home or whatever, and I just take a little lunch break, it's much easier for me to just keep everything up and running and just kind of pop out the tablet and play for a little while I'm eating lunch or whatever, rather than go in front of a TV and boot it up and kind of play through an hour's worth of an RPG.
Yeah.
Or just easier.
Yeah, and I think it's necessary for, that's easier to do if you're single, of course, but if you have a family, have a kid, it's important to have your significant other, I think, realize that this is not just a silly game that is wasting time. It is your downtime.
Keep saying this now because I'm going to have to record this. So go ahead, keep going.
It's your downtime. It's what keeps you sane. Everyone needs something to kind of recharge their batteries, beyond sleep. And so it's helpful to... Do you need me to record this? Wait, well, luckily it's being recorded.
Yep.
But you need your significant other to realize that and kind of be like, okay, well, you know what? As long as you're not doing it 6 hours a day every day and ignoring your responsibilities, but every once in a while, just be like, hey, honey, I'm gonna go play this game for a little bit. Could you take care of the kid? And then vice versa, she can go off and do her thing every once in a while, and you take a. Someone call that parenting.
Yeah, I agree. Everybody has to have the things. I mean, one of the things that I read in preparation for the little girl was the New Dad Survival Guide. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that it talks about is exactly what you just talked about, which is that everybody kind of has to have their own outlets and their exits to burn off steam, to do whatever it is makes them kind of come back to reality so that they're ready to be good parents, right? Mm-hmm. And whatever that might be, you have to be able to make time to do that. And I agree. As long as gaming is appreciated, just like reading a book, just like going out to exercise, just like, a lot of things that I do here, like take care of the yard, I have to do that. I have to do it. And if I don't do it, no one will. So, as long as you have an appreciation for that, you can make that happen.
Yes.
I've heard a lot of people have tweeted, not tweeted, but a lot of people have asked in the program previously over the last 5 years. One of the big questions that comes up during the question and answer portion of the program are folks that are asking, listen, my significant other isn't really into gaming. What am I going to do? How am I going to make this work? There's no great answer to that, right?
Everyone's different.
And everybody seems to flock to people and become involved in relationships with people that have similar hobbies, similar interests as them. It's a natural thing. But, you and I both happen to be in relationships where the other person isn't really all that interested in gaming. Mm-hmm. But it's still appreciated, or at least to a certain extent, tolerated, let's say. Is tolerated a better word?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. It's still tolerated by the other person, and that goes a long way. So, there's got to be something like that going on too. Now, we've talked a lot so far about video gaming, which is one kind of totem in this. But there's a lot of other forms of games.
I'm glad you brought that up.
What do we think about adult gaming for those kinds of things?
Well, if you get the whips and the not that kind of adult gaming.
Yeah, no.
Actually, I very see. You should be proud of me because I resisted the urge to make tonight's topic adult games or adult gaming, I should say.
Adult gaming, and we would have the biggest audience we could ever possibly imagine for like 5 minutes, and then everybody would get really like
put up a misleading thumbnail of some girl in a bikini, and we'd get all the hits on YouTube.
Yeah,
but anyway, no, what were we talking about? Oh yeah, so
other than video games,
okay, so a lot of people are into board gaming or perhaps tabletop gaming like Dungeons and Dragons or something like that. Or even wargaming like Warhammer 40K. So that is a little more difficult to get a hold of because it, by definition, requires other people. It's not It's not plopping in front of the couch and playing some Mario Kart or playing online even.
Right. Which is another thing that's very
Mario
good to
Kart.
do.
That's
Mario
true.
Kart. Mario Kart does make itself very available for the same kind of gaming that you get out of the mobile platform. You can just jump right in, play a game, jump right out. It's great.
Yes, but
keep going.
growing up, you leave the confines of high school or college or whatever, where you are just surrounded by people who are like like your same age and stuff, and it's just easy to make friends relatively. When you grow up and you're living in a house and you just go to work in your house, and that's that's like 2/3 of your day.
Right.
What do you do to meet other people who? Let's face it. In America, at least, the percentage of people who play board games is not high.
No.
But bring it up at work. Honest to God, you would be surprised how many people have played Settlers of Catan.
Yes.
In the general public, they sell it at freaking Walmart, I think.
Yeah, it's a Target, it's a Walmart. It's out there. Yeah,
and that for years that's been the gateway drug to more advanced board games.
And now there are games like Power Grid at Target.
Which is awesome. I love Power Grid. It's one of my favorites. But that's important. That's your in. Maybe if you're just talking to someone at work or something like that, bring up like, oh yeah, the inevitable. What did you do this weekend? Like you can be like, oh well, I got together some people and played some games. Have you ever played Settlers of Catan or something like that? I can't tell you how many times this happened to me at work, and they're like. They're usually saying, "Oh yeah, I played that. That's good." It's like, "Hey, well, we should block out a night. Just invite some coworkers over, and we can play some games or something." It's as easy as that, frankly. Yep. And then you can kind of ease them into some higher level stuff like Power Grid, and eventually you're playing, Battlestar Galactica or something like that. But seriously, I can't even tell you how many times I've done that, and. I think you've done that too.
Yeah, I have. I've done that too. There are also local gaming groups. A great place to meet people to play games are at game stores. And yes. I don't know what the deal is, but from where I moved from to where I moved very recently into the new house, this new location, there is a large number. Seems to be a strangely large number of game stores around here. So there are all kinds of places where, literally you just walk right up off the curb and people are playing in Magic tournaments. So, there are places to go to meet, and usually they have little sign-ups where you can join an email group or what have you that talks about some of the events that go on. And, if you need to get away, which we all do every once in a while, need a little break, need a little time out from adult life or from the responsibilities therein, it can be good to run away every once in a while and talk to folks inside of a gaming group if you're not going to do some of the things like you just suggested, where you invite people at work, or if you're uncomfortable doing so.
Mm-hmm. As Chris in the chat says, Catan with coworkers is all fun and games until you start trading stone for sexual favors. I can't tell you how many times that's happened too, but
all the time.
And it already kind of fell off the chat, but someone was mentioning before about how people still play Magic. It's kind of astounding how many people our age played Magic in high school, and they're at least passingly familiar with the game.
It is. And you know what else is cool? If you and I go to conventions, and anybody that goes to conventions knows what I'm talking about. You can find people that are Magic card dealers. That's what they do. And they sell these boxes for like 1,000 cards. You can get it for $10, $15.
Yeah, it's like mostly common, some uncommons.
You could build like 3 decks out of that and just play simple Magic, right? It's got some rares in it too, so you're never always completely shut out. But what I find is that if you come into somebody like that from the 90s or whatever that used to play Magic, the best way to kind of rope them in is to say, hey, why don't we get one of these boxes and we'll just play some crappy decks and remember what it was like to play Magic. That is more fun to me than doing what we used to do when we were into it, where we'd go out and buy freaking booster cards, and we get rares and we count all of our rares and uncommons. We'd see what the value was and all that BS. Who cares?
Open up Scry and see how much you have to, so you can sell them for. Yeah,
that's right.
we got off on a tangent. You did mention, you mentioned conventions.
Yes.
There are more conventions, gaming nerd related conventions now.
Yeah.
I'm pulling this statistic out of my butt, but I'm going to say there's more now than ever. They're just popping up all over the place because it's relatively easy to organize on the internet.
There's a Comic-Con like 15 miles from here this weekend, and they're going to have five actual character actors from Game of Thrones are going to be there.
There you go.
Sirio Farrell is teaching water dancing classes. I'm not making that up.
That is awesome.
So you know what I'm saying? And I don't exactly live in the city. So you're absolutely right. I couldn't agree more. These things are out there.
Yep.
And that probably makes it a little bit easier to be an adult gamer, as it were.
Oh, I think it's easier now to do this stuff than it has ever been. But seriously, go to even a moderately sized convention and you will always find people who are playing some game. Go to PAX East. One of the things we found that we like best about going to PAX East is going to the board game checkout area.
Absolutely.
Where there's just a ton of board games and you can just be like, never played this before, let's try it. And you give them your driver's license and you go play it for however long you want. It's amazing. And then you can just find random people and play with them. And because that's what everyone is there to do, is play some games. It's ridiculously easy. Gen Con, MagFest, Con Bravo, there's always people looking to play games. And that includes video games too. I played a lot of Smash Brothers this past weekend, at MagFest 8.5, which was not a large convention, but they had the game set up, and there's always people willing to play some form of Smash Brothers. That's a great experience.
Just getting people around that have the same kind of interest always results in these kinds of things where everybody kind of goes, hey, my Pokemans, let me show you them, right?
Oh, yeah.
So, that's not difficult. I think Anatory Lizard brought up another cool thing, which is the idea of meetup.com, which is a place where you can meet people that have the same kind of interests you do. It's also a great place to find a gaming group. So there's all kinds of things out there like this.
Or hell, Craigslist.
Craigslist, absolutely.
Yeah, it's the personals.
Looking for a game. Yep.
Yeah, that's or Reddit. You know what? This is
Reddit.
Something I found out recently. In my local area, I haven't actually wound up meeting up with these people. I'm pardon me. But if you just kind of search Reddit for, like, if you live in Saskatchewan, whatever, like Saskatchewan, is that a city or a province?
It's a province.
Okay. Seattle. If you're in Seattle, I'm sure if you went to Google and searched Reddit Seattle gaming group or something like that, you will find a subreddit of people who are setting up games, setting up game nights, looking for people, etc. That you could join. Certainly try that out. There's so many ways to find people who are in the same boat as you if you're looking for someone to play with.
That's right. And I think
not in that
part
way.
of this. Yeah, no. And
Well,
part of this
in
is
that way,
yeah,
too.
I mean Craigslist, but there's always the connections there. But I think the point is you're trying to find people that have the same interest as you do, but probably also have a lot of the same barriers that you do. Mm-hmm. In terms of actually geeking out and playing some of this stuff. And there are ways to combine that. It's a pretty well-known fact for folks that follow the show. Really, the reason that we're here, to a certain extent, is because I was at a Halloween party one time, and we all started talking about gaming, and I jokingly said something about Dungeons & Dragons. Mm-hmm. And all of a sudden they go, "Did you say Dungeons and Dragons?" Well, we love Dungeons and Dragons, and next thing you know, we had you were in there. I brought you in, and we had a full blown gaming group
for like 4
going.
straight years, almost every week. It was amazing. I still don't know how we did it.
Yeah, so it's one of those things where you're just trying to get connected to the right people, and once you find a way to do that, it's great. But we combine those things too because these folks had kids, there were always kind of hurdles to getting together. Mm-hmm. But we found a way to make it work, and the kids had a good time. We all kind of became closer. It was really a kind of a community event, and that's what I think we should be talking about. Are community kinds of events around these things. That's what makes gaming as an adult possible.
And they're everywhere. You just got to look for them. People were mentioning Be careful on Craigslist. Obviously, there's some
Yeah,
real
yeah.
weirdos out there. But yeah, the first step, and I say this with so many things, the hardest thing to do is to just start. You just have to make that first step. You have to be outgoing enough to try to find someone. I think,
Yes.
and I think not by definition necessarily, but a lot of people get into video games and things like that in the first place because we're a little, for the most part, introverted. It's hard to just walk up to someone and say like, "Hey, how you doing?" But you know what? We're all adults. This is the whole point of the podcast, right? Gaming as an adult. We're all adults. No one's gonna be a jerk. It's not middle school where they're gonna throw their milk on you and laugh.
Well, they might, but you know what?
Well,
that's okay. You know, I mean, there's still definitely. I mean, even I it's funny because I am in a line of work where I get to meet a lot of people, and just 2 weeks ago, I met. I sat down with somebody who had a literal Atari museum in their office. He had every single Atari system ever made, including like the rarest of, and he could talk about all of them. We started getting into a good conversation, and lo and behold, I got into a conversation about the site. I got into a conversation about the marathon, and you know, he's like, "Man, this is a great idea. I had no idea these kinds of things were going on. This is a great way to connect with people."
Yeah.
So you never know, right? But at the same time, you know, other people that I work with, other people that I hang out with, you know, they hear what I do with the site or whatever, and they just kind of go, "Oh, yeah, okay, great." You know what I mean? Like it's kind of like, yeah, that's the kind of geeky thing that he goes and does. We don't need to worry about that. But you know what? Everybody's got their thing. You know?
Everyone's got their thing. Yeah. You just have to ask, basically.
Yeah.
I see. That's the
I
first
agree.
step always. So
Now, how do you think you have specifically changed in terms of how you balance gaming for now, but between now and I guess 5 years ago?
Well, I feel I have less time now because I have a lot more responsibilities at my work.
Yes.
And I travel a lot more, mainly related to the site, honestly.
Yes.
But I've found conventions to be. 5 years ago, I don't think I'd ever really been to a gaming convention. You know, since then I've been to like everything I popped off before about, you know, MagFest and PAX East and Gen Con and stuff, and I found it to be really a really great source of just a vacation where you can block out a few days and you just can play a game with anyone. I was wandering around Gen Con, especially if you are into tabletop games or board games and all, you got to go to Gen Con. You got to go next year,
Yes.
or whenever I go again.
Yes.
I was walking through the Indianapolis Convention Center. It was like midnight. I was just walking through on my way to the hotel, and there's just a group of people in the hallway, like a group of 30 people playing Are You a Werewolf? And they're like, "Hey, anyone want to join?" I'm like, "Sure, I'll do that. Why not?" You know, it's just pickup games everywhere. It's great. But yeah, conventions are a gold mine for getting your gaming itch scratched.
Yeah, I agree, and I think that's the best because you already plan around a convention. You know, it's not like you're spontaneously coming down and being like, "Hey, I'm going to go play for a couple hours." And you know, it's like
you definitely have the time. You know, because you're already there for a few days and you have it's vacation time, right?
Right, and that's the way I look at it. When we go to conventions and we play games, it's like, this is great. Let's just play, right? I mean, what else are we going to do? That's why we're here.
It's midnight. It's 1 a.m. I don't care. I don't have anywhere to be tomorrow except for here again.
Right.
So
That's right. And you know, there are all kinds of other ways to connect with that kind of stuff. You know, one place where you find a lot of people that are into kind of, you know, these kinds of alternative things is actually Renaissance fairs. Mm-hmm. Like,
really,
I went to one last year up here, and it was, you know, it's funny. There are so many things that are similar to Renaissance fairs wherever you go, and I just went, man, this is just like being back down in North Carolina. It's great. So you know, you find people there that are like selling games, and you know, folks that enjoy that kind of stuff too. So it's really funny as you get older to see those kinds of things happen. And I'll say this too. One of the things that I thought was really intriguing about Microsoft buying Mojang is talking about some of the educational, I guess, benefits of Minecraft. And, you know, as an adult, I will say this: when I play games now, even more than 5 years ago, when it's well known that you and I are both video game critics. We like to be able to kind of criticize what's going on with video games, try to figure out what's going on. But now I am much more critical of games. If I see something out there, I'll go, man, that has absolutely no value to it whatsoever. Or, gee, that's so stupid. You just run around and blow stuff up. That's not fun at all, right? I think when you're younger, you're more willing to kind of jump into whatever and just play it and be like, ha, this is really cool. When you get older, you have to be more discerning. You have to be more critical. You have to be more choosy about what you play. So what I would say is that, I now see games in a different way today because I have to be more focused. Like, am I going to buy Destiny? Probably not. A lot of the reviews have been pretty lukewarm on it.
You do have to be more choosy in the game. You don't have the time to waste on crap like you might have when you were a kid.
That's right.
Yeah.
So you're more critical, more choosy. But I also look at something like Mojang and Minecraft, and I say, man, what are they going to do with this game to kind of provide or to foster some more of the educational benefits of this, right? Not that they need to turn it into the encyclopedia, but wouldn't it be neat to see how people could foster the educational benefits of certain games to make them more beneficial to society? That's the kind of stuff. Those are the kind of questions you ask when you get older, says Cooper.
That's right.
So yeah. So maybe we got somewhere. Maybe we didn't. Maybe we treated it well. Maybe we didn't do it at all. But
we threw some ideas out there. Maybe they'll stick. So
yeah. I got to get on some of those, by the way, because I just moved to a new place, and
you do.
I got to meet some people to play up here because I'm having withdrawal. And until the little girl learns how to play Dungeons and Dragons, which should be at least 5 years, I'm probably going to be alone in that regard. Okay. Gaming as an adult. Take that. 5 years. Who knew? Now we get to the question and answer portion of the program, which, as we have teased the entire time, is really the part of the program where you guys can suggest questions, and if we like them, we will answer them on the air. Many people have already sent questions. If you'd like to send a question about tonight's topic or anything else under the sun, we promised anything else under the sun, all you have to do is tweet me at It's the Commodore, which I'm sending out to people now. Okay, so if you have a question, send it to at It's the Commodore, and I will answer them live on the air. Let's get to questions, unless you have objection.
Nope, I'm good.
All right, good. Because if you did, I wasn't going to care. All right. WizWar100 asks, what games do you remember liking as a kid, but find out that it's not great now that you're older?
Ooh.
That's a great question.
That is a very good question.
So I'm gonna. Can I answer for you? Back to the Future.
No, it's still good.
Okay. we had a little bit of a scuff with Pat 2 shows ago because he doesn't like that game.
Well, a lot of people don't like that game. I can understand why, but you got to look at it the right way. I
played a game on NES I thought was great when I was a kid called Karnov.
Yeah.
Nah. Not very good.
Man, I'm trying to think. I know there are a lot of games that are just not very good.
Well, it's tough for us too because we grew up in the genesis of the 3D game. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of games that today would be terrible just because they're unplayable.
Yes. Well, you always say that GoldenEye is unplayable. I don't know how true that is, but
unplayable on the 64. Like you could play GoldenEye on a new system and it's great. What are some of those 3D games that were very new? I'm trying to think of some
Bubsy
of them,
3D?
like Soul Reaver, Legacy of Kain, right?
Yes.
That series was awesome, but if I went to go play it now, I don't even know that I would be able to discern how to move in that space. It doesn't look real at all. It looks terrible. Tomb Raider. Another perfect example.
I didn't see. Yeah, that's the thing. I didn't really like it then, but I could totally see not being able to get into it now.
Yeah.
Remember Jedi Power Battles on the PS1?
Jedi Power Battles was a great game. I played that again in a heartbeat.
Do you think it really is still a great game though?
Yeah, it is the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 4
Eh.
of Star Wars.
You know, I hate to say it, but that might be kind of one of them. Is like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the arcade game.
Really?
Yeah, because
I get what you're saying.
I've had the chance to play it since then, and it's very. I mean, it's a beat 'em up. That's kind of all it is, and that's. I liked it maybe a lot more when I was a kid because it's like, oh my god, turtles, and the graphics are amazing, and music, and blah 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 blah. And I still have fun with it, but I can't get as invested as I used to in it. So
yeah.
I hate to say that.
You know what?
Too, but
Here's what I'll say is Mortal Kombat. You know, for a lot of the same reasons.
I know.
Very, very fun to play when I was a kid. Now you kind of play it and you go, it's because it's like tame or whatever now. But the new Mortal Kombat is really, really fun. But I'm talking about playing the old Mortal Kombats today. Not great.
Yeah. All right.
Geez, there's a ton though. There's so many games that wouldn't be fun anymore. All right, let's see here. How about Urza's Rage asks, if you safely physically inspect any real object that ever existed in the past, what would it be and why? I guess if you could safely physically inspect any real object that ever existed in the past, what would it be and why? That's a great question.
That's an odd question. Okay.
I feel like we're on. Do you remember that old show on the History Channel that was like weird objects from the past?
I think.
And it was narrated by narrated by Mike Rowe.
No, you definitely made that up. That's Dirty Jobs.
Look it up. No, look it up.
Weird objects from the past with Mike Rowe.
Yeah, it was like Mike Rowe had this show on the History Channel where he'd be like, hey, look, now we're going to take you to a segment where we talk about Houdini's handcuffs. And they tell, the story of Houdini's handcuffs, and it's the guy from the History Channel that narrates all their other documentaries.
The Mike Rowe Show?
Why don't you believe me?
I don't believe you at all. Anyway. Man, that's hard.
Me being geeky, I would like to kind of be able to have free reign to walk around the components of the Saturn V rocket.
Yeah. See, that's the thing. I'm thinking of some interesting things, but a lot of these are kind of in museums. Like, you can go to the National Archives and see a copy of the Declaration of Independence and and things like that. And
yes.
That's obviously the first stuff that comes to my mind, really interesting historical stuff.
Yes.
If you can ever go to the Smithsonian Air and Space Museum, the annex out by Dulles Airport, there is some really amazing stuff there, like a space shuttle and
it's great.
a U-2 plane, not U-2, a Blackbird,
Right, SR-71.
Yeah. Oh man, that's hard. Why are you gonna make it hard?
Yes. Yeah, technology stuff is there too. I'd love to get my hands on an older computer that was that had loaded Colossal Cave Adventure. Mm-hmm. I'd love to see a giant mainframe running Colossal Cave Adventure. That would be something pretty cool.
Yes, I'm gonna have to pass because I can't think of one thing.
Yeah, I mean, going way, way back, you could see ancient stuff. I mean,
I'm trying to make it good, yeah.
Yeah.
I'd like to kind
of... The
of...
Ark of the Covenant's a good one.
Yeah, I know. I'd kind of like to see how just normal life was 6,000 years ago.
Yeah, that would be better. I'd rather instead of an object, I'd like to kind of see life.
Yeah.
Good question, though. I love that question.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Psychopather asks, how have the lives of yourself and Rue changed since the first time you did this topic? Jeez, we covered a lot of that stuff, but
well, you have a baby.
Yeah, so let's see. I took a new job since 5 years ago. Mm-hmm. I have had 4 different positions within that career path now that moved me to a completely different part of the world. I moved again. I bought a house. I had a baby. What else did I miss? So there you go. That's good. Now your turn.
I think you win on the changes thing.
Yeah, I know.
Because I'm still in the same house.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
I do have a new
5 years ago.
with a lot of different responsibilities. So, yeah.
Lots of things have changed. Let's see. Matt asks, As Minecraft has become this massive educational tool, this is going in a great place. Do you think there are other games that can be used in a similar way?
Yes. Next question.
Oh, great, good. Are you? Did you have one of those teachers where you'd be like, "Hey, can I use the bathroom?" And she'd be like, "I don't know, can you?"
Yes, actually.
See,
I think I had a couple like that.
yeah, I think I know them.
I was extraordinarily
Anyway.
confused by that. Anyway,
Yeah, I know. Like, yeah, sure, I can. I'll go right now.
on the floor. How you like that?
I don't. I'm gonna say there obviously. There probably are, but will they be used to that kind of great effect? No, and the reason why is because I really actually believe that Minecraft is the rarest of the rare kind of game that brings in generationally so many people that it can actually bridge the gap well. I saw an article that was recently written about parents starting servers so their kids could safely build a world together as a family, which is like a bonding element. Schools using Minecraft on their own servers to be able to allow students to take on an architectural project. There's so many different ways that you can use Minecraft as a teaching tool. It's very difficult to do that with most games. They don't have that kind of a component. So I'd say effectively no, but of course there are going to be other games that are educational.
Yes, there are other educational games. I mean, there's obvious ones from the past, like Oregon Trail and Math Blasters.
We're in the world of Carmen San Diego.
Yes, and even less obvious ones like SimCity, which had educational versions. And I learned a lot about city planning from SimCity, but nothing quite like Minecraft in the fact that it's essentially like the ultimate sandbox game. So, yeah,
Right.
I'll agree with what you said there.
I like it. All right. So Sonic Rose asks, what do you think of that intermediate part of gaming where a mix of sprites / polygons, etc., were merged in the 32-bit era? Always a contemplative question from Sonic Rose.
What do I think about it?
Yeah, what do you think about it?
It's mostly but.
Not your favorite era,
No.
for sure.
It was there. That was the era of many growing pains.
Yes.
Um,
Growing pains from a technology standpoint,
yeah.
growing pains from an industry standpoint.
Yeah. I mean, as great as some of those, even looking a little bit past that to just the early true 3D games, like
Yes.
or on the console at least, like Super Mario 64 and Ocarina of Time. Like those are still great games, but
Yes.
they're definitely rough around the edges. There's
Yeah.
lots of ways to break them.
First 3D game I ever played, I think, was Quake. And
Oh yeah.
Quake is still incredibly fun. Very difficult to play because it's very rough around the edges. And I hear there's going to be some remaking, or at least they're going to make that part of Quake Live now. So I have a Quake Live account, but you can only play Quake 3. I hear they're going to rebuild the old Quakes in Quake Live, which is pretty cool.
I just want to point out the randomness of this comment. I have in the chat. I have a server for my family. Finding cats with my daughter made me hate Minecraft.
Wow.
All right.
All right, then. Yeah. And we're moving on.
That sounds like a story. Anyway.
Yeah. So not my favorite era either, but I think I had a lot more affinity for it than you did. Oh, I just thought of a game that I had so much fun with when I was younger. Bushido Blade. Mm-hmm. Unplayable now.
Yeah, during that time period, I was more entrenched in 2D gaming and just enjoying the crap out of that. So,
like Symphony of the Night. Pond Life asks, what game do you find the most nostalgic for you? Like if you're feeling blue or just want to remember the past and be happy. Whew, tough. A lot of great games. I recently found a picture this week. I was digging through baby pictures because I wanted to prove how much my little child, God bless her, looks just like me. But I found a picture of me unwrapping my Mad Dog McCree box for Christmas.
God. Yeah.
So
I see.
I still recite that.
I am. Here you're looking for the Mad Dog.
You're looking for the Mad Dog.
Yeah. See, I'm tempted to say something like Super Mario Brothers, but the thing is, I've played that too many times to make me nostalgic for a particular period of my life.
Yeah.
You know, things like Mad Dog McCree that I would play not often, but a bit at one period, and then just really haven't since then.
Yeah.
And if you pick up a light gun and you play that now, that's definitely more of a, that definitely brings you back more. Things like Seventh Guest are the same way.
I find that it's much like a movie. A lot of times it's not necessarily the actual act of enjoying it, but the things that remind you of the experience and the time that actually make it good and nostalgic. So for me, the other day I was just walking around and randomly, I don't remember exactly what it was. It might have been Realms theme from Final Fantasy VI popped into my head.
Mm-hmm.
And I sang it note for note as if I had just played the game yesterday. I don't need to go back and play the game or pick up Realm into the party and whatever. But that brings back a lot of great memories of nostalgia for Final Fantasy VI. And it puts you into a happy place when gaming was a little bit simpler. Civilization, interestingly enough, on the Super Nintendo does the same thing for me.
That's true, yeah. Because I really haven't played that since the 2, 3, and 4, 5 have come out. So
yeah, exactly. Okay. King Wizard asks, what do you think about the new 3DS coming out? Is it a cash grab?
yes.
He also says congrats.
Oh,
Are you admitting that's actually a cash grab?
Of course it is. I find it very frustrating. I don't know. How long has the 3DS been out now? Maybe 3 years?
Yeah.
I can't remember exactly, but
yeah.
about that. To come out with one where that's basically saying, "Hey, here's a slightly rejiggered one, a slightly rejiggered version that some games will only work on this." It reminds me of the DSi, which I completely skipped over. I'm like, nah, I don't need that mess. And I'm not gonna get this one either. I'm fine with the 3DS XL until the next true iteration of the portable hardware comes out.
How many people could actually be buying this at this point? Are there really Nintendo fanboys that just buy everything?
Yes.
I mean, they can't be like Apple fanboys.
That's why Amiibos will sell really well. Calling them Amiibos.
Oh, yes. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yep. Lost me for a second there. This is not a question, but I have to read it. So we got an awesome suggestion on the name for the little girl from Juan, who says, for the nickname for your daughter, since you're the Commodore, how about the Amiga? No, that's a great idea. She can be the Amiga.
I still like Yeltsin.
No, terrible idea. Amiga is automatically in the running. If you have any other ideas as to what her nickname should be, please let me know. Okay. Let's see. Josh asks...
It means female friend in Spanish. What?
It's also a Commodore.
Well.
I had a girl that left because of my games. Should I feel ashamed for that? No. Don't feel ashamed for your games. Listen, here's the thing, folks. People are going to have to accept you for who you... we should totally do a dating show, a relationship show. Just you and me.
We should.
Pencil this one in. But,
right.
Folks, be who you are. Because, at the end of the day, if somebody can't accept the fact that you like those kinds of things, and that's what you do. Now, listen, if you do them to an unhealthy degree, then they had every right to leave you, right? But if you don't do them, if you do them to a healthy degree, as the way that people have any kind of hobby in their lives, people are going to accept that, man.
Yep. And if she leaves, that's fine, because you still got your games, and you just get a cat, and that's all you need.
More time to play for yourself. That's how I look at it. No, Cooper.
Oh.
All right. RPG Tour Guide asks, what are some of the retro games you feel gamer parents should pass on to their kids? Yeah, this is a good...
You know what? This brings up an interesting question. So during the RetroWare panel we had at MagFest 8.5 this past weekend, there was a gentleman who is a professor at University of Maryland who was in the audience. And afterward, we were talking. He asked some interesting questions. After we were talking for a bit, and he said he wanted our suggestions for 3 games for the NES that basically encapsulate the experience of that system.
Okay.
But
Super Mario Brothers 3.
Okay. I'll let you go first before I tell you what I said.
I'd say Super Mario Brothers 3. I would say, man, that is a great question. How about Legend of Zelda?
Mm-hmm.
And I would say, man, this is tough. Dragon Warrior.
Very interesting. Okay, so well, first off, a little bit of background. So this is like a philosophy class, like a philosophy of video games. Which the way he was telling me about it, it actually reminded me of that history of rock and roll class that you somehow got into as a freshman in college.
Yes.
That basically just like everyone wants to take. And even if they have no idea what the hell's going on, it just sounds good.
Right.
But so I said, Super Mario 3, because it's kind of the pinnacle of platforming on that system.
We agree there.
Legend of Zelda, because it is by far the best adventure game on the system. It shows how, open world kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And then I said Dragon Warrior 3.
Oh my God, that is crazy.
I said Dragon Warrior 3 because that...
Yeah, that's a good pick.
Because the same reason I didn't pick Super Mario Brothers, I picked Super Mario Brothers 3. Dragon Warrior obviously is a classic, but more than that and more than Final Fantasy, I think Dragon Warrior 3 shows how in-depth RPGs can be on the system.
Yeah, I agree with that.
So
that is crazy. So, folks, we did not rehearse that. The entire library of NES games.
Yep.
And we came up with basically the same 3. Either that means we're doing something right or we're doing something terribly wrong.
Yes.
Okay.
So I'm going to throw that as the answer to that question.
Yeah, and over and over and over and over and over again. What games? What retro games do we think should pass on to our children? I think there are a lot of great games. For a lot of there's a hilarious video right now. It's trending on YouTube. It's been out there for a while. Where Maisie Williams from Game of Thrones responds to an NES.
Kids react to the NES or something like that.
Uh-huh.
I hate it.
And
I hate
it's
that
terrible.
Series.
Yeah, don't watch it. The last one I watched was with the Commodore 64, and it made me want to throw things. Not a great series, but what it did show is I think there is value in allowing kids to kind of see experiences of what things were like when we grew up, right?
Mm-hmm. But they need context, and they do it specifically for comedic effect. So
they do it for comedic effect, right?
Yeah.
It's not necessarily about hey, here's what happened, and here's why this came out, and here's what people did with it, and blah blah blah. Whatever, it's fine. Let's see.
I would throw in as an answer to that question as well that I think it's important for kids, if you're trying to get them into appreciate video games and stuff like that. Showing them the consoles is great, but if you can take them to an arcade, a classic arcade, or someplace with classic arcade games like Magfest or whatever, or take them up to the Classic Arcade or American Classic Arcade Museum up in there in Weirs Beach, New Hampshire.
Yep.
Because you can get experiences there that you can't get at home, and it's important to show this is what video games were really.
Right. This was American video games
for a while, and have them play Asteroids and have them play Space Invaders or even freaking Dragon's Lair, and just kind of understand what that experience was all about, Anyway.
Yes, I agree. I agree on all fronts. Retro Rangers asks, I came across the terrifying prank of swatting. What are your thoughts on this trend, and what can be done against it?
I don't know what that is, but I could guess. Is it where you run up to someone and you swat them in the face?
Yes. No, it's not. So swatting is what happens to unfortunate souls like you or me that have live shows.
Okay.
And a child just got convicted on this. That's how I read about it in the news.
Adrian Peterson?
But basically trolls on the internet will wait for a live show to start, and then they will call the police, a bomb threat at the police, so that the SWAT team actually comes and breaks down their door in the middle of the show.
I did hear about that.
Yeah.
Well, first off, that shows some of the problems we have with militarization of police in this country and reactions, the whatever. Not going to get into that, but that's an issue.
Yeah. But if right now, guys, I have headphones in. I'm only listening to you. I'm watching the camera. A velociraptor from Jurassic Park could jump through the back door there, and I have no idea. Mm-hmm. So, and you guys would see it eat my head and laugh. But but this just goes to show, right? We're seeing a maturation of media. And with a maturation of media, there's always a group of folks that, find the break in the seams and jump all over them. This was like a 15-year-old kid. Mm-hmm. And now he's been convicted of a major crime, and he'll probably do time and all this other kind of stuff because it's a terrible thing. Right?
Yeah, and kids can be really dumb.
And kids can be really dumb, but this is my point. You and I did a lot of stuff like downloading music, things like that. We weren't thinking about the legality of that. It was just something that you could do. Mm-hmm. These kinds of media are maturing. We have to find those kinds of... there are always going to be people that exploit the weaknesses of those kinds of things as well.
Yeah, and they're dumb, and it's insanity, basically.
Yeah. All right, let's do a little rapid fire. You ready?
Right. Yep, let's go.
All right, here we go.
I knew this wasn't going to be an hour show.
No. Let's see. Capitank asks, what level should I consider attempting to defeat the Dragon Lord in the original Dragon Warrior?
Wow. Ooh, geez, nice. If I recall correctly, I think the original Dragon Warrior guide said you should attempt Castle Charlock, is that what it's called, at level 17. So I'll go with that.
Man, that is double the knowledge there with the Nintendo, with the strategy guide talking to. That's pretty cool. Retro Amigo asks, any emulators on the iPhone, or do they dwell solely in the domain of Android? Wife is considering iPhone Plus.
I don't know. I know it's a lot harder, at least. You'd probably have to jailbreak it and do all this other crap,
I'm sure there are jailbroken apps for it. I've never seen one. In fact, I know there are because one of my buddies has one. So there definitely are for jailbroken. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. You can play. And it's actually a lot easier to link controllers to an iPhone for some reason. I'm not sure exactly why.
Yeah, that's weird.
Anyway, let's see. Juan asks, will the Commodore appear in the future in the video game years? Probably not, mostly because of time.
And also
not because I don't want to.
You're far away.
Yeah, I'd love to. Actually, we talked about this a little while ago. We would actually like to do kind of one of those tag team things where you and I can sit and we both react to things like that. But
yeah, like Pat and Ian, except that thought only really came about after you left.
Right. So game over. Let's see. Yeah. Let's see. Razalon asks, would you say Mother/Earthbound is still a cult hit, or has it finally managed to reach semi-notoriety?
Oh, it's definitely semi-notoriable. It's like
absolutely.
It's the biggest cult hit, I think, in the video game world.
Right.
The fact that it's top 10 in the virtual console downloads of all time shows you something. It's up there with things like Super Mario 3 and I don't know, Super Mario World. So
yes,
yeah, it's definitely more well known. Still
definitely more well known. And even somebody that doesn't really like it all that much, I think it's definitely more well known. People come dressed to it at conventions now. I mean, it's everywhere. Everyone knows Earthbound, and everyone knows the tight-knit community around it. So I think it's more than just a cult hit. Me123D asks, Square Enix just replaced its director Tetsuya Nomura from Final Fantasy 15 with another person.
I did just see that.
Mid-production.
Mm-hmm.
Thoughts?
I don't have a lot of hope for Final Fantasy as a series anymore, so I'm kind of just like, well, whatever. But yeah. I don't have a lot to say on that one. Actually, it's just Final Fantasy as a series is kind of a mess. I've found as I've gotten older, gravitating more toward Dragon Quest as a series, just because it doesn't try to reinvent the wheel every single game, and it's like a comfort food. And I enjoy it a lot. So,
no, that's good. That's good. I like that. All right, two more. WizWar 100. Are there any games you wished you picked up back then as a kid, but couldn't due to overpriced, or it's just not possible? Or are there any games you wish you picked up back then as a kid, but can't due to overpriced or just not possible? Yeah, I would say so. A lot of games that aren't possible to really play anymore. Thank you, good old games.
Yes.
For bringing some of those back.
Well, first off, I'm going to amend what I said before, because I'm looking up the original Dragon Warrior strategy guide, and I think level 19 is where you should go into Charlotte Castle. I had the wrong prime number for the level.
There you go.
But anyway, you know what? There were a few games, speaking of Dragon Warrior, that when I was a kid I really wanted and could not find, because I lived in Vermont, which is not a mecca for gaming.
No.
Dragon Warrior 2, I could never find it. Breath of Fire. I had 1, 3, and 4. Couldn't find 2. Not even used. And Breath of Fire 2. I really enjoyed the first Breath of Fire. Could not find 2. I even had the strategy guide in anticipation of finding it, and I never found it until
Just couldn't get your hands on it.
I couldn't find it anywhere. It was ridiculous, you know.
That's crazy.
And luckily, I finally have it. But
I was luckily
I'm sorry, I was leaving you, but shut up.
No, it's okay. But I was luckily in the household of someone that didn't allow video game systems, so there weren't any that I couldn't get back then. And most of the time when I did have a video game system, by the time high school came around or whatever, I just kind of bought games that were older, so they were pretty easy to find at that point, and not overpriced.
Yes.
All right, last question. Dan asks, if you weren't doing Clan of the Grey Wolf, what would you be doing right now?
Sleeping, probably.
I don't know. I'd either be sleeping or I would be tending to an angry newborn child.
Why so angry?
Well, because she's hungry and she just wants everyone in the world to know that.
Well, why don't you feed her?
Well, because I have nipples, fucker. Could you milk me? I lack the necessary equipment.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, so I have to kind of just
honestly,
I have to play referee and just knock her back into play.
Honestly, if I wasn't doing Clan of the Grey Wolf, I'd have more time for playing video games.
That's true. I will concur with that.
Which is ironic.
And more recently, I haven't spent a whole lot of time with that, so that's probably not true. But eventually, it will be.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, the Clan of the Grey Wolf's been successful beyond any thoughts that you and I ever had about it. And as a result, I don't really know what I'd be doing other than that. I just know that I'm glad I don't have to worry about that scenario because I like what we're doing here. It's good.
It's fun.
And all you people are here as a result.
You're all fun people, too.
All right, we went way over time, and it
usual?
wasn't... That's right. And Amiga is starving, which is absolutely true. So maybe Amiga is going to be the name. If you think of another name for a nickname for the small Commodorette, just send me a tweet at It's the Commodore. Rue, where can the peoples find you?
Kalishnikov?
No.
You can find me at Rue_COTGW, also on the Twitter.
Yes, and the peoples can find us on the first and third Wednesday, generally, of every month.
Yes, which means we will be back on October 1st with a new episode about something.
I kind of like that idea of doing the whole dating thing. Maybe we should just do, maybe you and I can put on smoking jackets and
dating advice column.
Yeah, we'll do a whole column on a whole column. Do a whole show. Yeah, we'll write a column about. It'll be Dear Abby, Dear Commodore,
Dear Commie.
I don't know. We'll figure it out. We'll figure something out.
Dear Commie, how do I get Wondrous State to provide me with extra potato this week?
Yes.
I don't know.
I don't either. Yeah, so we'll be there, and
such is life in Latvia. Yes.
Such is life in Latvia. So, thank you all for watching. Hope this was a good experience of revisiting. Like I said, we won't be revisiting many topics anymore. We just wanted to do this one because it was a very special time.
Yes.
In my life, obviously. So thank you all for the congratulations. I assure you the Amiga is a tremendous blessing on all of us. So we'll see what happens with that moving forward. Anyway, great to have you with us. Thank you all for watching. I am the Commodore from the Clan of the Grey Wolf, and for Rue, there is no reset button.
Dear Kami, how do I achieve carnal relations with another?
Well, you can try. This is not a good idea. We should not do this for the show. No, this is not. Forget it. Forget the whole idea.